As questions loom over the U.S. role in Afghanistan following the killing of Osama bin Laden, as well as potential reprisals from Taliban fighters and what remains of the al-Qaeda network, U.S. military commanders on the ground are still focused on the current mission and the fight ahead in this year's fighting season. Marine Sergeant Ashley Bryant spoke with Major General Richard Mills shortly after his return from commanding ISAF forces in southwest Afghanistan and brings us his view on the status of operations there.
Despite recent developments, the outgoing RC Southwest commander says the ideal drawdown of foreign troops in Afghanistan should still be a deliberate thinning out over months or even years.
Ideally, I think it's a process in which people just suddenly look around one day and notice that the coalition forces are gone, as opposed to us having had a parade out of town with bells and whistles and drums beating.
The gradual turnover to Afghan security forces is already seeing success in areas like Nawa and Garmshir and Helmand province. And while commanders on the ground assess their situations in their own areas of operation, one thing General Mills said he is pleased with is the success of the coalition's winter campaign against the insurgency.
The campaign was designed to maintain pressure on the enemy throughout the traditional non-fighting months, the months in which he is traditionally been used to taking a break. And the progress I think we saw on the battlefield reflected he was wearing out. The guy was wearing out. And there was disruption among his command and control elements because, again, they weren't used to that tempo of operations.
But during the spring resurgence, General Mills expects ISAF troops will see the enemy try to take back the areas of Helmand, where some 45,000 farmers took part in a crop substitution program, yielding a significant rise in wheat production and a nosedive for poppy crops, essentially cutting off a large base of drug funding for the insurgency and likely forcing a tough enemy counterattack.
Our job now is to anticipate how that counterattack will come. And General Tulin and the Marines over there are working that very hard. I think they will blunt that before he's able to really get underway. They're well positioned and well resourced to counter it. And I think that the enemy commander will be very, very surprised when he returns to the battlefield and he finds a very different environment than the one that perhaps he left last summer.
As General Mills explained, the bottom line remains: create an Afghan state that is strong enough to both operate independently and to sustain its own security and governance, with the coalition in place just long enough to keep the insurgency from returning. Reporting from the Pentagon, I'm Marine Sergeant Ashley Bryant.